because against the Pokemon that you usually bat against, like those Steel and those Electric-type Pokemon, you have, of course, the coverage move, and otherwise you're just going to hit neutral. But again, we have very likely Licky on both sides here, and in comes Empoleon into the Quagsire here. This is going to be not the best matchup for Empoleon, as we are seeing the Mud Bomb on the Quagsire.
But I'll tell you what, it's not the worst situation for Empoleon to be in, because it has this Community Day move that we've been talking about again and again, Hydro Cannon, which just put an absolute chunk into any Pokemon that it comes into. However, these Mud Bombs would do significant damage if gone unshielded.
Yeah, and we see the shield coming up immediately. So for this side here, you're going to have, of course, the Altaria still in the back as an option to catch a move, because you kind of have to, I guess. But like again, as you said already, Hydro Cannon, one of the strongest moves that he can kind of go for. It's going to do a lot of damage here.
And I'll tell you what, even though it's not the best Pokemon to play into Quagsire, it has taken both the shields in this first matchup, which is very, very good for 7WS in what you would say is not a good position for him to start in.
Speaking of taking both shields, all shields down on both stop at the same time, and the Altaria is now going up against the Empoleon. This is looking very, very good for the Empoleon here, resisting the Dragon Breath damage.
Empoleon looking very happy here. A sly smile there from Koksiak as he realizes this is a good situation that he is in.
Yeah, this is definitely a very good situation. That Flamethrower is not going to do enough damage to knock out the Empoleon. Empoleon can take it quite easily, and you put the opponent's Altaria now into the range, where maybe a Drill Peck is already enough.
I'll tell you what, that Flamethrower did a lot more damage than I was expecting it to do, even though it is a neutral move and it's a non-same type attack bonus move from Altaria. It did so much damage.
Yeah, now it's going to be the question, can you farm down? No, you cannot. There's going to be the Sky Attack coming through. But this is still alright. You still have the Licky in the back, which can now load up on a little bit of energy here as well against the Altaria.
Wes is very happy here just to win the swap, win the alignment, be able to put his Pokemon on the preferred Pokemon of his opponent. He knows everything the Koksiak has on the table now, and he's able to put it on his respective Pokemon.
But you have now two Pokemon that are going to be weak to the ground-type damage of the Quagsire. Quagsire should be able to hold on from that Hydro Cannon, and now there's a lot of energy stored. It's going to be very close, but he's going to be able to go for the Awkward Tail here. Is this going to be enough?
I'm not entirely sure, but Koksiak seems happy to throw it here. If it is enough, he has another one to throw into whatever's in the back, but it wasn't quite enough, but able to survive. One more Steel Fast move.
This is huge. Having the Mud Bomb coming through now is going to do so much damage. It's going to weaken up the Stunfisk for the matchup against the Licky. And our Licky with all the energy that has already loaded is going to be in a prime position to knock out here that Stunfisk.
What a play there. Just knowing your Pokemon well enough to just hang in there ever so slightly to just really soften up the residual Stunfisk HP.
This Discharge is barely going to do any damage against the Licky. Discharge coming through, not doing anything, and there's just no one Shadow Ball or one Body Slam even that's going to be able to take down the Stunfisk, winning the first game.
Koksiak very, very happy here as the game has just gone his way, especially with just, I'll tell you what, I was so impressed with the knowledge of that middle encounter there between Empoleon and the Quagsire. The Quagsire, to know your Pokemon that well that you would survive one more, I'd be scared. I'd be throwing my move straight away. I'd be like, nope. I would rather win the matchup here. I'd rather win this specific battle and then think about what's coming later on. But to have the mental fortitude to hang in there and just know your Pokemon and really want to get that extra move off in the bag was absolutely huge.
It was all about the alignment of that Quagsire. You had like multiple targets, but also you have that one answer. You have the Altaria, which you were able to avoid. But are they going to be able to do that again? Like, is the Altaria maybe going to be aligned this time around against the Quagsire? And then we are talking about a whole different game. So I'm curious on how those players are going to adapt. Are we going to see the Fearow? That's my question here.
Fearow, we've seen before, usually when a player goes one up, sometimes they decide to bring their spicier picks in then. And by no means is Fearow a spicy pick, because I see it so much in the Go Battle League. It's such a good Pokemon, but you don't see it as much in the play Pokemon circuit. So by that regard, it is kind of a spicy pick, but I would like to see it here just to see how it stacks up in this Show 6 Pick 3 format.
So at least if you played some Go Battle League before, you have plenty of experience against the Fearow. We're definitely gonna make up some knowledge there. But yeah, I do agree. Like, you don't really see the Fiora that often in those tournaments, but I do think it has quite a lot of potential, especially if you get the energy up there on this Pokemon. It's very tough to deal with it. Most of the counters are going to be weak to the coverage move of it. This is why players are running this Pokemon. In comes the second battle now.
Here we go. The trainers are locked in. They have locked in and they are ready to go. We have Swampert onto Empoleon. Two fully evolved starter Pokemon going head to head.
This is definitely going to be a bit of an interesting one, because you're going to have here neutral damage from the Hydro Cannon from the Empoleon, while you have the resisted charge move damage from the Swampert. But then you're going to have the fast move damage, which is going to be in the favor of Swampert, because you're going to do super effective damage compared to the resisted damage from the Empoleon. So I do think that especially here, the two first partner Pokemon from the players are going to go up against each other. I do think, especially in the two-shield scenario, is going to allow the Swampert to maybe win this lead matchup.
And you see the ground typing of Swampert and you think, oh, this would be a much better situation for Swampert than it is for Empoleon. But the charge move was Sludge, and we see a huge catch here.
This is a huge catch. It's going to be a resisted Hydro Cannon onto the Altaria, and the Altaria is going to be able to farm down that Empoleon as well. But of course, we will see the swap out to try to store the energy, and I think Koksiak is going to be quite happy to not have the Altaria aligned against that Quagsire.
Body slam coming off now, and it's a little bit of an uphill battle after that huge catch, but we are seeing the Licky putting in some good, decent damage.
Yeah, Licky having the super effective fast move of a rollout here, and the flying typing of the Altaria is just chunking away the health, and you're gonna put it into the range where just a body slam would be even enough. But if you want to knock it out now, you need to go still for the Shadow Ball, which is going to connect as well against the Altaria, knocking it out from the skies.
Here we go, Shadow Ball goes, and it is enough to knock out the residual HP from the Altaria. We are now seeing Empoleon come back in.
Yeah, it's going to be this time around there's Empoleon, which is going to be able to get some energy. And of course, we know there's going to be the Quagsire in the back. So energy is what you really want to have, as the fast move pressure is not going to add up. And we're going to see more and more energy being farmed onto the Empoleon. Hydro Cannon coming through will be enough to knock out that Licky easily.
Big shield there on the side of Wes, negating the attack there of the Shadow Ball, and is able to take out the rest of the Licky, saying, I don't want to see you anymore. I'm done here. I don't want to see any more Licky.
And in comes the Quagsire, and yet again, Quagsire looks like it's in a perfect position to do some damage, shielding up the first Hydro Cannon. But I do think Swampert still has a little bit of energy stored, doesn't it?
Yes, it does, and we are seeing the Community Day move once again come through the Hydro Cannon from Empoleon, and it does a lot of damage into the Quagsire.
Well, do we see the swap out soon? We see the Awkward Tail. This is a very risky play. Do we see a shield coming up here now against this Awkward Tail? Empoleon has got a no shield. That is huge.
Huge call there from Wes, and you can see the surprise on Koksiak's face as he ends up throwing another one now, which would probably be at this stage enough to knock out.
At this stage, for sure. But it's going to be only Water-type Pokemon left here. They're all going to be very low, and Hydro Cannon is going to connect, knocking out this Quagsire. It's only going to be the Empoleon left here on Koksiak's side.
An incredibly wet battle to end things off here, and we are seeing Koksiak trying to get to that second move. He's looking a little bit disgruntled at the fact that I don't think he was quite able to get to that second move.
He wasn't able to get there, and it's only one more Mudshot that is needed in order to knock out that Empoleon, and this is going to be it. We're gonna get a game number 3.
We're coming to a decisive game number 3 here, ladies and gentlemen. Such great plays, and it was really fun to watch 4 water Pokemon go at blows at the end of the game there.
I know that, especially because they were all just going for water-type moves as well. We had the Awkward Tail and the Mud Bomb on the Quagsire, and then we just had so many Hydro Cannon in this battle. It was kind of insane to see, and how often we saw Hydro Cannon in this one battle.
And that was the risk of going for the bait at the end there. Had he thrown the ground move Mud Bomb, would that have been enough to win him the game?
Most likely, the Mud Bomb would have knocked out, of course, the opponent, but it is, of course, always a guessing game. You don't know what the opponent is going to do there. Expect, of course, then that there would be the final shield coming up for the Awkward Tail. But it was a great call for sure.
Absolutely. With every play that you make, then your opponent will be sitting there adapting, overcoming, and trying to just do their best in that particular instance.
I wonder if we're gonna see more water-type Pokemon. On Koksiak side, we would actually have even the option to go for a triple water team, which would be hilarious to see, because apparently water-type's doing quite well in this regional.
No, he is doing quite well in the regional and this battle, as there are a lot of being chose to bring in. If only there were a Pokemon out there to come against all these water types that could really put them into check. I wish I knew one.
I wish I knew one as well. There's, of course, going to be most likely an Altaria coming in as well. Hope so. Like, we were going to see, of course, we're going to have the Quagsire, which you have to kind of deal with. I also feel like that Fearow has some potential as well against, of course, the fast move damage of something like the Swampert. But in comes here now, again, the Quagsire, another water type, against the Empoleon, another water type.
And we're back at that guessing game that we've seen time and time again. What will Koksiak throw here? Will he throw the Mud Bomb, or will he throw the lesser expensive Aqua Tail, which would, if gone shielded, then put him up energy?
But also on the west side here, you have the option to go for the Swampert, and actually is quite safe in the matchup right now. Like against Koksiak's team, Swampert has basic potential against every single Pokemon, so you can use it even as a safe swap if you don't want to take a Mud Bomb onto your Empoleon.
Absolutely, we are seeing the Mud Bomb go here, and it does go shielded. A correct play here from Wes, and we are going to see him start building up here. He's nearly at 2 Hydro Cannons at the same time. We might see another Mud Bomb.
We might see another Mud Bomb, but we are definitely going to see another shield, and so no more shields in play for the final matchup of this set. Ooh. And we saw the potential swap there, but didn't work out. The Mud Bomb is coming through. The Mud Bomb is going to knock out that Empoleon.
Thrown straight away, and the Empoleon goes down at the expense. The Quagsire no longer has any energy.
And in comes another Empoleon. We have so many Empoleons here today. And we might see the Flamethrower coming through. Yeah, the Flamethrower is going to connect here. Again, if you would want to swap out into the Swampert here, the issue is Hydro Cannon is doing so much damage. You go into a Empoleon with loaded energy, and it's not going to be the best idea. So you cannot try to weaken them up a little bit, at least with the Altaria. Altaria won't go down. I could see that maybe eventually we're going to see the swap onto the Swampert to build up some energy.
Absolutely, and earlier on I was surprised about how much damage that fire move, a Flamethrower, does into Empoleon. And again, it just does so much more damage than I would expect.
And now Altaria is nearly at another charge move. We could see the swap out into the Swampert soon. We see that here immediately, trying to get some energy, trying to farm down this Empoleon, and we're not going to get it done. There's going to be a Hydro Cannon knocking this Swampert very low.
Just about gets to the move before being taken down by Mud Shots, and that damage will be huge coming into the end of this game. Wes on what, half a Pokemon and a tiny amount of health in the back on his Altaria, but he is not out yet. We have Swampert here, who is going to do a lot of damage into, but it just hangs in.
It just hangs on with 1 HP, and this is going to decide the battle here immediately, as the Aqua Tail is going to knock out that Swampert, and it's only going to be the Altaria left with only a few HP against a full HP Licky.
Oh, but the energy's not going to go very far into the full HP of a Licky. 2 moves wouldn't have even been enough. What a play here from Koksiak, and we see that Pokemon again. The Licky is running rampant in this tournament.
Yeah, Licky is absolutely everywhere, and I feel like every single time we talk about this Pokemon, we know why it's everywhere, because it is so insanely strong. But again, we're gonna have the match.